at Zaxby's. Order on your favorite delivery app.
Let's eat, baby. Dinner is on me.
It's always nice when we begin to see new guests on the show become regular guests on the show, and that certainly has become the case with Charles Miller. He has Scenic City Neurotherapy, and you are growing. You have a new partner with you today.
This is Jason Castro. He's one of our new anesthesia providers. He just joined us this week, and wanted to get his face out here so people know who they'll see when they come see us.
So Jason, we were talking before the camera began to roll, and Jason said, see, when you listen to Charles, he knows so much about this. You're hoping to be able to talk as fluently as he does about these ketamine treatments and why they're so beneficial.
Absolutely. I have a lot to learn as far as this side of anesthesia, but I'm super excited to be under him and keep learning everything that he's got to teach me.
So you set me up perfectly, Jason, because you said this side of anesthesia. Ketamine, Charles, tell me if I've learned, is used as an anesthetic. What you're doing at Scenic City is you're using the human anesthetic, right, only. You are a nurse anesthetist.
Correct.
What you're using is frequently used on the pediatric side, so I'll use the word mild. You can clarify that for me. And you're seeing benefits in chronic pain and in mood disorders.
That's correct. The ketamine we use is obviously the human version of ketamine. There's a lot of stigma out there with ketamine, and its other uses, or it being a horse tranquilizer. There is a version of ketamine that is used in veterinary medicine, but obviously we're not using that.
Right.
Ketamine is a human anesthetic that is approved for 6 months and older. It is the most passive and physiologically safe of all of our anesthetics, which is one of the reasons we prefer it over some of the other anesthetics that are out there that don't carry a stigma. If we had another anesthetic, I promise we'd use that worked better, but nothing works better than ketamine.
So I think what some people might be thinking when they hear the word anesthetic is, okay, am I going to come in and you're going to put me to sleep? That is not how you're using this, but somehow, and you can get into the weeds as much as you choose, these ketamine infusions, right, work to help kind of your brain reset a neural pathway because your brain is malleable.
It is, and it helps the brain become more malleable. It does this by changing the brain's baseline to a certain point to where the brain responds by releasing a protein that's neuroregenerative. And so it triggers your natural process of neurooptimization. It is not the fix, it's a catalyst for the fix. The fix is actually you're optimizing your own brain using your own natural process.
So let me use a really rudimentary example that probably a lot of us can relate to. You've been in a work environment where you're just miserable every day. If you know it's stressing you out, you find yourself doing lots of things that aren't beneficial for you, and you get a job switch. And all of a sudden now, you're happier because you're in a new environment. Your brain is getting new signals as you go to work.
Yeah,
is that the same idea?
That is a good example. By changing the stimulation in the brain, increasing communication in the brain is not, you get less intimidated by upcoming events, decreasing anxiety around even simple tasks that normally would cause you anxiety. Decreasing depression because it's like an increase in emotional stamina. You're better able to deal with problems as they come at you, and it feels like you're bigger, to use an example one of my patients gave me. He said the problems are all still there. It's just instead of coming at you and knocking you over like they normally do, they come at you and they bounce off.
So is the hope, because I know you've been very quick to say that you've got a two-pronged approach here, maybe three. One, you love to educate people.
That's a big part of this.
Two, you don't pretend that you're doing this by yourself. You work in tandem with the mental health community.
Absolutely.
So is your hope that people will come in, they begin to get these treatments, and their bodies that are a little bit deficient right now and being equipped to handle the stimulus that comes their way can now better control things as they go through these treatments?
Think of it like correcting the wiring in the brain. We deal with the physiology behind the mood disorder, and the thinking portion is still handled by the psychology professionals that are out there. Your counselors, your mental health providers. We rely heavily on them. We just facilitate what they do.
I'm an analogous person.
Yeah.
So we talk a lot with different people who have abilities to help with weight loss, and they understand that the long term, oh great, you lost 2 pounds this week, if you have 100 to lose, is agonizingly slow.
Right.
So they often come on and support the idea of doing some things to kind of jumpstart and speed up the losing process. Is that sort of how ketamine works, that it's
Yeah.
speeding up the recovery?
This is all something that's capable of being done over the long term. I mean, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort on the patient, and by no means what we do is free of work. But we speed the process along to where the patient doesn't wear themselves out trying every single thing that's out there and not feel like they're making any gains.
What about their families? Do you have the spouses, or I know you typically see 18 and older, but parents come in and say, I want my loved one back and I'm not able to communicate because of this mood barrier?
And that's where a lot of our education comes in, because it still has to always be the patient's call. The patient has to be committed to the process. But people want their family members to do better. We've all had family members that suffered from either pain or mood disorders or some combination of the two. And we get to, every time I talk to somebody about what we do, it usually ends up turning into a consult, because everybody knows somebody.
About what you do, the process, I haven't touched on that. Is it kind of like a 6 to 8 week commitment that you make to do this?
It's usually done, we do a stabilization phase over 3 weeks, 6 infusions over a 3-week period. Each infusion lasts about 40 minutes for the mood, and usually anywhere between 1 to 2.5 hours for the chronic pain disorder. Each appointment's about an hour and a half to 3 hours, depending on what we're treating. And it's the actual process. The patient's always awake, they're always aware, they're always in control. That being said, it's also a very strange experience. The anesthetic given at a low dose level, most people aren't used to that. We kind of stop. If you've ever had anesthesia in the past, we stop at the point when you feel the anesthetic coming on, but you're not quite asleep. So you're kind of in that floaty space in between. But it's an incredibly effective means of dealing with these mood disorders.
Can they still communicate with you while you're doing it?
Yeah, and we have specialized process. They're monitored continuously. At any point, the patient can communicate, can tell me if they need something, if they want to drink, or if they need to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
We can get up in the midst of treatment and do that.
I'm sure people, if they're watching and interested, they're thinking, ask him this, Julie. Everybody has their own questions to ask.
Yeah.
Consultations, how do you handle that in the office?
First thing you do is you can reach out through our website, which is ScenicCityNeurotherapy.com. And we have a place where you can, and put in your information, and we'll reach out to you, or feel free to call our office. It's 423-228-0579, and you can speak with one of our people directly and get your questions answered and schedule a consultation to get the details, usually.
Thank you both for your time. Jason, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.